What's up, everybody? It's your boy Oog, and today we're seeing if you can beat Dragon Ball Terraria with no immunity frames. And this is a very interesting challenge for me because this is the first real playthrough I've done with no immunity frames. And oh boy, I also did on Master Mode, and I'm not really used to being really careful in Terraria. I'm used to just making it so I get so chanky that I can just go through everything and not have issues, but you know, I'm not used to it. So as you can see, I get slaughtered a lot. Like a lot. Like, I had to say the first few hours of gameplay, I made no progress. Or any progress, I should say, that is important. Purely because of these immunity frames made it, no immunity frames made it so hard to actually go through everything. But it is also such a, I guess, really amusing experience finding what weapon specifically from Dragon Ball Terraria would be OP and not. Because I didn't know, I wanted to make sure I would only use weapons from that set, mod, as soon as I was able to get them. So my first goal was to purely just go get all those modded weapons. Or I guess, yeah, that's all I had to do to start preparing. But also with this mod, of course, they're not going to make you become really OP really fast, which made things very difficult because damages were not the best in the beginning, which led to me having a very rough time in the beginning of this playthrough. But besides for that, it was really enjoyable, and I hope you enjoy my struggles. The first weapon I decided to go with for this playthrough was the Ki Beam, purely because it seemed like it would be the best one to get all the immunity frames, or be able to target the enemy's immunity frames more than others, which, for the most part, it seemed to be very true for me. As you can see, when I hit the zombie with this, it's going to be able to hit multiple times, which is going to be very necessary for me not dying when you're as bad as me at Terraria at this point. But the problem is, there's not many other weapons, or I guess I should say choices. So beyond this point, there wasn't many items, or I should say accessories and other shit like that. So I had to go with using this Ki Beam for the most part to try to beat some bosses. And I got too greedy and got slaughtered a lot once again. Cause I forgot, while charging, you can't really move fast when you're actually charging up Ki. So a lot of times I got caught off guard just charging and just, well, you know, died. And for some reason, as soon as I lost to the King Slime, I decided, you know what? Let's try to fight the Eater of Worlds. Because, you know, fighting the King Slime went so well. Might as well try the Eater of Worlds, because it couldn't be that bad, right? Yeah, I didn't have a good time. I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, no, I know what I was thinking. I was already played for a few hours after getting slaughtered just out in the open world over and over again. To the point where it's like, I need some kind of action in my life. I need to hit some power breakthrough, which in this mod pack, I guess in Dragon Ball Terraria, the first breakthrough you get is by beating the Eater of Worlds or the Brain of Cthulhu. That's when you first start finding your next type of Ki crystals, which are what you use to upgrade your gear. Or I guess those are the basis of materials. There are other materials you'll find from bosses, but the Ki crystals are the main things that go with gear. But as you can see, this weapon doesn't do shit to him. So I made a horrible mistake. The Ki Beam was not the option. Fighting him this early was not the option, and yeah, instantly just slaughtered. Which, you know, I just wasted more time. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah. And then, once again, I tried fighting the King Slime because I was just, I don't know, I didn't really want to do anything else. I wanted to beat a boss. And at this point, though, I grinded up a Kamiha because, you know, it's a good weapon, I found out. A very good weapon, as you can see all those numbers pricking out. So I was able to actually beat my first boss, the King Slime, which doesn't really mean anything to me, sadly. Purely because he doesn't really give much. He can give you Kaioken, but I don't know. Kaioken isn't my favorite of things. Like, losing health in this isn't that bad because I'm mostly going to get one-shotted by bosses anyways. But at the same time, I don't know. This Kaioken didn't seem like a thing I really wanted to waste time using. Because the extra HP still meant stuff at times, because I could still survive hits at times. So I kind of wanted my HP for this run. So I didn't really get into Kaioken. / I didn't really get it. I think I ended up getting it later on, but I still didn't really touch it much. And then after that, oh yeah. Then I got hit by a Goblin Invasion, which is where I got that one item I just showed for a second, which it was useless to me, by the way. It was just the item for I would charge up Ki faster if I got hit. so I didn't mean anything. But as you can see, I was able to I decided to fight the Eye of Cthulhu the next night, and I was able to nuke it with the Kamehameha for the most part. Or so I would like to say, but you know, I got slaughtered. Ah, it's just painful to look back on. And then for some reason, since I had a Kamehameha, I was like, I should be able to beat the Eater of Worlds. Yeah, no. I still had many problems. As you can see, all the shots it shot at me kind of blocked the Kamehameha, which is pain. Actually, a lot of pain, because, you know, I need everything to hit, because I don't have, at this point, I have very little ki. Like, very, very little ki. But, once again, I went back to fighting the Eye of Cthulhu again, because I know I can beat that for the most part. As long as I get a good Kamehameha beam in it, which I did. I was able to defeat it. I was hoping to get an item that would allow me to have 1,000 more ki, because it's very necessary in this mod pack, especially early on. Because I can't really afford the charge up to max ki every single time in fights and stuff like that. Which, I got unlucky, and I did not end up getting the item. Which meant I had to fight the Eye of Cthulhu once again. Which, as you know, I mean, as you saw from the one thing, I could either completely destroy him with a Kamehameha, or I could just end up not getting him with the full beam, and actually getting, you know, slaughtered. Which is very sad, seeing as I know I can beat it. But here I go, fighting it once again. And I believe I was able to destroy him. I don't honestly remember. This video took me a while to make. Yeah, I absolutely wiped it. Which is pretty nice, because once it gets into that, his enraged mode, it can be quite a issue. As you saw from the first half. But after this point, I believe I got my key crystal. Yeah, I did. Which is able to give me a lot more time, and you know, me. I have to go fight this again, because I think I'm strong enough. You know, I have a little bit more ki, so of course it means I should be able to beat the Eater of Worlds now, right? After all this time? Yeah, well, you get to see what happens. I really should not have so much bravado as soon as I get a little bit of an upgrade. It really doesn't do, I mean, yeah, it doesn't work wonders for me. It actually just brings me a lot more pain. But at least, you see me dodging a lot more in this, with the extra ki. I was able to do a lot more, but yeah, still slaughtered. Which caused me, I ended up having to go to a new world and going after the the Brain of Cthulhu. Purely because I got slaughtered. I didn't show all the times I got slaughtered, but I got slaughtered so many times I lost my mind. It was too many hours before I was able to get past that, so I just decided to fight the Brain of Cthulhu. And this is my first attempt at it. And let's just say, I really wish my world started off as a Crimson. It would have saved, like, it would have made things so much faster. So much faster. After being able to beat the Brain of Cthulhu, though, I was able to farm on the new world and get all the pure not the pure, but the calm key crystals, which were basically the necessary things so I can end up getting the new set of armor, and I was able to get a new attack, which allows for me to be able to fight the, jeez, I don't know, I just could not speak there for a second, but it allowed me to fight Skeletron, or so I should say. I didn't. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking there. I really tried doing it and I got slaughtered. So I went back to the Eater of Worlds so I could actually, you know, use my main world for looting and stuff like that. And this time I had Double Sunday, which allowed me to, you know, wipe them out. Turns out the next tier of weapons were pretty good for at least handling him. Which I guess is good, but I don't know. The Double Sunday wasn't my favorite type of weapon. It was just, I don't know, it doesn't seem satisfying to me compared to other weapons. But at least being able to beat the Eater of Worlds allowed me to be able to fully use my world and not have to transfer between world back and forth again. At least I was able to beat him this fight, which is, you know, something I've been craving to do since the very beginning of, like, starting the series, seeing as I got slaughtered by him so many times. It just, I don't know, it wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be, because in any normal Terraria playthrough, I always just feel so satisfying destroying every single chunk almost instantly when I get the right power up. But even with this Double Sunday, I don't know, it didn't chunk as much. Like right here, that was kind of satisfying, but I don't know, the power level wasn't quite there yet. You know, I was free. And then I finally decided to take on the Queen Bee, which was also, yeah. I don't really need to say much about it. I just got slaughtered immediately because I messed up and fumbled the flying key. And then I decided to fight on land for some reason. I mean, yeah, up top for some reason. Don't know why. Because, like, she gets enraged. And you could probably guess how this goes from me fighting her up top. Slaughtered. I got close, but absolutely slaughtered. So I ended up going back down underground and fighting her because I knew I could beat her based off that damage I did. It would just be a game of dodging back and forth, which with flight, it makes Terraria so much easier since I have like this pure flight where I don't have to worry about falling down as long as I have ki. So it's pretty easy to dodge at this point as long as I'm careful, which I do. I beat that, and then my next skill, I have to take on Skeletron, and this time I'm not going to get caught by him. Also, since I was able to beat the Queen Bee, I was able to get Destructo Disc, which is actually it carried me for a decent part of the game purely because it could shoot through walls, which allowed me to be able to grind enemies a lot easier and in safety. Also, the reason why that fight ended so early is because Skeleton despawned on me. I got really depressed, so I decided to fight the Eater of Worlds again, just to see my new weapon, and oh, it was so good. The Destructor just absolutely just destroyed this guy, and it was beautiful. He never stood a chance. Like, this is a good like showing of the immunity frames, of how well it just disintegrated this boss. So many hits with a Destructor Disc. And then once again, I'm fighting Skeletron again, but this time not messing it up. And I also have a new Beam Blast. I believe it was Misako at this point. But it's something that I'm going to use at the end of the fight purely because it's going to help me with doing a lot more damage, and I'm just lazy. I didn't want to wait forever trying to finish the boss off. I also tried to stay within range so he wouldn't despawn on me again. I really don't want to deal with the pain of waiting a full another night to fight him. But here you see me charging up to 2 on my Misako, and done. Now we have the dungeon unlocked. You know what time it is? The grind again. So I did all my grinding, and then I was in hell. But after the grind, I was able to get Vegeta's gear from the dungeon because I was getting all these new items, which actually made me pretty able for this fight. I also ended up having Kamehameha, which is also a very good tool I found out with this fight. But at this point, you can probably see over on the right all my equipment I've able to gather at this point of the game, which I was getting, I guess, a pretty good variety of items from the Dragon Ball Terraria at this point that were helping me quite a bit. You see, my one good Kamehameha laser beam was able to get rid of so many of the little hungry boys. And then you'll get to see in a second of how good damage it can do. But as you see, my ki gets down really low there for a second, so I panic. Have to wait a second to charge, but I can move so fast I can dodge all that. And then I believe I get a good body shot here, and yup, and it just starts melting. It's so good, but then I can't afford to really do it because I don't want to get low on ki and end up dying. And then all of a sudden, I see my Destructo Disc damage. It's like, oh, might as well just stay with the Destructo Disc because that is just nuking the Wall of Flesh. And with that, we're on the hard mode. And I was able to get a whole bunch of more stuff, and I was able to start looting once again. I mean, grinding once again to prepare for the next boss fight, which will be the Twin Eyes. Which, it wasn't really that bad, I would have to say. Because at that point, I have unlocked Spirit Bomb now, had another new armor set, and a few other pieces of gear. Because with this mod pack, you really just do a lot of, I guess, grinding between bosses. But with this grinding, you get so much power, I'd have to say. It just takes time. Which I always didn't want to take my time, which also caused me to have so many issues in the beginning of this. But after taking learning to take much more time, I was able to handle these bosses so much more. Which is, I guess, nice, because compared to the beginning of recording this series, towards the end, things were going so much faster. I believe it took me 3 days to go through all of this. And the first day was purely me. I don't even think I actually beat a boss on the first day. I was just set on beating the Eater of the Worlds, and I just couldn't handle it. So I had to wait until the second day to go after it. Even though it was, you know, very deep in the AMs on the second day. But besides for that, it wasn't really too bad, I have to say. But as you can see, this is basically all my grinding sessions were. It was just going after things in different areas, because they all had their own set areas. But here's me fighting the Mechanical Eyes, and yeah, here's my Spirit Bomb. My main goal with it was to try to get underneath them and hit them with it. But I forgot that their tracking is so good that it's hard to get underneath them. I wanted to just hold the Spirit Bomb with inside them to be able to do like major damage. I figured no immunity frames means they should have got nuked. But no. Also, fun thing to know. Oh, yeah. Basically, after you beat one of the Mechanical Eyes and you die, you're able to unlock Super Saiyan. I mean, you have a chance to unlock Super Saiyan. And I got it. So I ended up hitting Super Saiyan, and it boosts your damage quite a bit. I believe by like 50% ki damage, but also my ki usage and all the other shit went up. But it was such a good like damage boost that I was able to burst through the eye, as you can see right there. I also made Super Kamiya though to help with that, because the Spirit Bomb was just not it for some reason. I was really hoping it would be like God tier within no immunity frames, but it just didn't. I couldn't get it to work for me too well. And at least I guess for the eyes, I couldn't make it work too well for me. But right after the eyes, you know, I was really confident, so I decided to take on Skeletron. Which, you know, a nice little Kamiya and, you know, keep my distance against Skeletron actually makes it like a pretty good fight. I probably should have beat him on my first try, but you probably should know from, you know, all the things. I first tried maybe one boss so far, and yeah, my second boss first try was not going to happen there, because I was a bit bad. Actually, no, I first tried, I guess, the brain and the wall, so 2 bosses were first tried. But, you know, that's not really that good. Especially with, you know, immunity frames. I should have been able to nuke a few more bosses, maybe, if I prepared enough. But here's my second try on Skeletron. And, as you can, oh, I forgot that I got so close to death. Like, I'm recording this voiceover after, you know, coming back to this a few days after. And it's honestly so scary to see how close I died. I mean, came to dying at times. Like, I should have died there with the no immunity frames. I probably should have got nuked. But somehow I got away because of the speed you get. Because the fun thing about this mod is each new transformation you get is the more speed you get. So I started becoming a very speedy boy. Also, when it came to fighting these... Actually, no, I can't... No, let's not say that. It's going to waste stuff. It was just a tough time fighting these guys. But you might be able to guess what's the next boss I suffered on. Because, you know, it has a similar build to my other guy I absolutely hated. You know, absolutely hated. If you didn't guess it, it was the mechanical worm. I decided to struggle with him again. Because this time I can't, of course you can't break its parts. And it has a whole bunch of guys shooting laser at you. Slash, I just don't have enough damage. For some reason, I don't know. I just couldn't handle it. Maybe I'll have, you know, 1,000 of beams coming at me doing way too much damage or what. But I couldn't, for some reason, if I wasn't nuking it, I couldn't beat it. Like, as you saw, that one coming out got it so close to just being nuked. But the time it takes me to charge back up, I don't know. I just couldn't do it at first. I'm probably just bad at Terraria. I'm going to take it as that. Like, I even tried fighting again with my Spirit Bomb. And I just had 3 weapons out. And you saw I can, like, nuke with that, but still died. But not even the boss. Just a random enemy just got in my way. So after that, I collected the Dragon Balls and decided to get myself a trait. Because there's 2 traits you can spawn with, Prodigy and Legendary Super Saiyan. I didn't get any trait, sadly enough. So once I did this wish with the Dragon Balls, I ended up with the, I ended up with the Legendary trait. Which is very nice because, actually I guess it's not very nice. It's just, I needed any trait to be honest. Prodigy just helps you level up a lot faster throughout the regular transformation trait. And Prodigy, I mean, Legendary Super Saiyan, well, it makes me the Legendary Super Saiyan when I get the chance. Also, this is me taking the fight, thinking that when I die, that I would, you know, transform into Legendary Super Saiyan. I found out that there's multiple versions of the first Super Saiyan. You can ascend and then, I think it's Ultra Super Saiyan for the final thing, which I am like in right now. But you need to be in the first form of Super Saiyan to be able to actually die and then turn into the Legendary Super Saiyan. I didn't know that. So I was hoping as soon as I get low enough and I'm going to die, it's like I'll just revive back up and be able to fight the boss, so I'm fine. I didn't do it, so after a few times I went back and then this is the run where I actually knew that I had to do this. And then I hit Legendary Super Saiyan. And after beating that boss, I was able to grind up the Gohan's Demon Gear and a bunch of this other accessories, which once again boosted me up. And I had this Trap Shooter Blast, which honestly was a very good weapon, which allowed me to push a lot further. As you're going to see me with fighting Plantera. Plantera, my next boss that I first tried, did not stand a chance against the Trap Shooter because of the explosion effect it left. Also, I put a little bit extra clip in this part purely because, oh my god, flying makes the tempo so much easier. Like Master Mode dealing with a tempo, just getting crushed by any trap, especially on no invincibility frames, horrible. But when you're flying, you don't have to really touch the ground at all. Okay, at this point, I have such a good recharge rate of ki that I never run out of ki. So I'm slowly mastering my form because I never have to leave my form. And just flying everywhere from this point in the game on, for the most part. I'm always just staying transformed because good power, good damage, and I don't need to really change out of it. Besides for how much it killed my thumb because I put the charge key button on the side of my mouse. Which meant my thumb was always pressed down on the side of my mouse for hours upon hours. Just trying to make sure I always had my key up while trying to upgrade my guy. Because it usually takes 40 minutes for your guy to upgrade. Which is a pain in the ass. I didn't find out until later that there is another way to make sure. I mean, there is another thing that goes into upgrading your forms. But I'll save that for later in the video because I actually show off what I did to upgrade one of my forms. But here you see me just going through the dungeon temple. Also, I don't remember the last time. I mean, jungle temple, but I don't remember the last time I saw a jungle temple on the left side of the map. I mean, that like leads out to the left in the boss. I feel like the boss arena was always on the right side of the temple. So this was like a weird little thing for me to run into. But happily, like just like Plantera, the golem, he really didn't prove much of a issue against my trap shooter. Which is very nice because I wasn't really looking to suffer. I was kind of on a roll and just kept wanting to push further and further in the game. But as you see, that was all those big numbers just disintegrated. Boy, he never stood a chance. Well, once again, I went back to climbing, and then I forgot to fight the Queen Slime, so I took that on. But you know, I had new attacks, like Supernova, which as you see, nuked half her health bar. The only issue with attacks like that, though, is they always have long cooldown. But it doesn't matter when you do stuff like that. Just absolutely destroyed her. And then I really just wanted to make sure I did a lot of the side things also. And here's me taking on this event. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this event put way, I don't know, I had way too many issues with this event for some reason that I shouldn't have had. I don't know if I was just tired at this point while playing or what, but I was, oof. Like you'll see from this first death while trying to fight it, it was not very bueno. Also Supernova, beautiful attack. But yeah, I just ran into him and took 2 shots and died immediately. Like, come on. And then here's me attempting to fight it again, trying to be a bit more like careful by just camping the middle, and I just got overwhelmed. The trap shooter is very inaccurate, so I just couldn't handle it, and there goes another loss. But on my 3rd try, I was able to finally beat it, and I did get a new attack. It was a energy barrage, which was basically a better trap shooter. I found out it just didn't have infinite range. Which is very nice, because you know, bet you just got bombarded. Sadly, I get nothing out of doing this event. Beating her didn't really unlock anything new. It was just more of a little thing for me to do to get stronger. But after I went after Duke Fishron, because they allowed me to do stuff. But you know, of course I stood there and get slaughtered. Which, you know, I come to fight it a second time, make sure I don't get slaughtered right away. Use a Supernova to absolutely destroy him. But like I was trying to say is, I had to fight him to get my new form. Or I should say, I had to fight him to allow me to unlock my new form. Which was basically this form 2. I mean, Legendary Super Saiyan 2. Which, this is how I found out how to level up faster. Once you take any sort of damage, you level up a lot faster. Which you saw is like 33%. And I mastered it within that period of time. Now I take on the Lunatic Cultist because I'm Super Saiyan 2, Legendary Super Saiyan 2, and I really had nothing else to do. I fought every single other boss besides the Empress, which I couldn't get her butterfly. The game was being annoying, and I didn't want to wait longer. So I just destroy him. And the fun thing about that is, as long as I have Legendary Super Saiyan 2, I hit Legendary Super Saiyan 3, which is my final form of the series. And it's, I have to say, it's pretty good form. And at this point, I'm also just very strong. And you're seeing me slowly taking out these towers, which it wasn't bad because I could do amazing damage to it, but at the same time, they were very painful. Because I got nuked by every single little like projectile they sent at me. But here's my first new weapon I got from the towers, which, I don't know. It's called Riot Javelin or something like that, and I have to say, horrible. Also, that's Holy Wraith. That was my new big, like, ball attack. Which, I did like it, but I didn't get much to use it. But this is my main weapon I got. I got this Razor Blade. Very good. It was a locking on just homing blade that would just sit on enemies. So as you can guess, in a game with no, you know, immunity frames, it's a very good weapon. Especially when I'm, you know, Super Saiyan 3 and everything's doing over 1,000 damage. That eye is immediately eviscerated. The only problem with this fight I found for the final boss is that it would attack the hand still. So I had to sneak around and be able to hit the right parts of it. I also somehow survived so many times against this boss. Like, I got hit by so many things, and I don't know. I lived. I should have got one shot so many different times, but I don't know if I was just way too fast or what. As you can see, I'm just zooming through things so fast that somehow I just beat it. And that's honestly how I beat this all. I don't know how I got away with it, but I was able to beat the final boss so fast compared to, you know, the beginning of all this. But I also wasn't satisfied with beating the boss like that fully. I wanted to try one of my other attacks, seeing as you don't get him to the end of the game. And I want to see the big ball attack, so I immediately started off with my Holy Wrath, Holy Wrath. And look at that big chunk of health just gone immediately. Like, I wish I could position a lot better to use the Holy Wrath, but as you can see, I was able to get rid of another eye immediately, and just immediately get down to the heart. And at this point, I believe I started to panic, because I missed this attack, and he just starts TPing on me, and he's like, oh shit, don't die, don't die. So I was just bobbing and weaving everywhere, and then I switched to the Razor's Blade again, because I did not want to get slaughtered and lose right here. Okay, at this point, I was just done with playing this run. I just wanted to do this one thing where I show off that attack. And from there, I was basically happy. I was able to finish the whole entire run. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, make sure to leave a like. And I'll try to do it again on a different game, that is.